Need help deciding on a research method? Well, I'm about to go over online surveys in just 5 minutes. We'll go over the definition, strengths and limitations, and top tips using this method. Let's get started. Surveys are quantitative and used to get information out of people which you analyse. Although we say they're quantitative, they can also be qualitative, using open-ended questions. It aims to find out about respondents, such as their attitudes, beliefs, values, knowledge, and opinions. Designing your survey comes after your secondary research, as you need to know what you need to find out and if it's suitable for your research. So, you need to think about: what do you want to find out? What questions should you ask to obtain the information needed? What do you need to do? Define your research topic, write your survey questions, decide on who you're distributing your survey to and what sample method, distribute the survey in the way that you decided, and analyse the results to talk about it in your findings or discussions. There are 2 types of surveys. Descriptive. This seeks out personal information from respondents, such as their age, gender, and occupation. This is used to relate to the respondents' personal values. Analytic. Finds out why people behave the way they do. The data from this type of survey is usually used to develop hypotheses and to test hypotheses. To get the most out of your survey, you need to make sure the questions are clear, so avoid questions and language that create confusion. Avoid assumptions. The respondents don't know what you know. Avoid leading questions. Don't use language that will influence your respondents' answers. There are different types of questions you can use in your survey, which are open-ended. The expected answer from this type of question could be a word, a phrase, or comment, which can be useful for looking into opinions, but requires more time to answer, which may lead to a lower response rate, and you need to make sure your question is clear to avoid vague answers. Closed questions. These are fixed answers that respondents choose from. This is faster for respondents to answer, but you could lack some insight, as you have chosen the answers, but you can fix this by asking why, but try not to do this too much. You can also use multiple choice, giving the respondents a list of options they pick from, such as finding out the level of education respondents have. However, if there are too many options, your respondents can become overwhelmed and skip the question. You can also use scales. There are different methods in this type of question, such as ordinal scale, interval scale, ratio scale, and Likert scale. When choosing the question types, make sure to consider if the questions are relevant to your research, what order makes sense, are your questions unbiased, and consider the length. Don't make it too long, but don't make it too short. And remember to avoid slang, acronyms, abbreviations, vagueness, double-barreled questions. To make your survey easy to follow, you need to design it that way. Organise the questions into topics that have a logical sequence. Make sure your survey is uncluttered with appropriate spacing, and make sure to thank the participant at the end. With online surveys, you need to protect your respondents' privacy and provide the participants with the following: the purpose of the questionnaire, what is your research, what is your study for, information on what happens with your respondents' data, what will happen with their data after the study, and you need consent from participants to use their answers in your research. Once your online survey is finished, you need to do a pilot test, which is with a small group to make sure the survey works, the question makes sense, and to receive feedback. How will you analyse the data to present it? Quantitative data can be put into charts to then identify trends, but consider which type of chart you use. For example, pie charts might not be suitable if there are small differences. Qualitative data requires more time to analyse. One way to do this is putting similar answers into groups to make the answers easier to analyse, but go through every answer. Why use online surveys? They are faster to distribute, low cost, and convenient. However, some people may not have access to the internet, meaning they can't contribute. There's obviously a lot to think about with online surveys, but from this video you should know the basics, so go put it into practice. Thank you for watching.